So we're going to go ahead and now review division. So when you divide decimals by a decimal number, you have to convert your divisor, which is your outside number or the number that you're dividing by, to a whole number. Then whatever you did to that number, you have to then remember to do to the inside number. So the most common made mistake on these is kids tend to reverse or flip around the way that these are supposed to be written when it comes to a table format. So when you read this, you would read that as 1800ths divided by 3/10. So my 1800ths is really sitting underneath here. And my 3/10 is going to sit on the outside. So the first thing is making sure that you get it set up correctly so that you can do that longhand division. Now my next step is to go ahead and move my decimal so that this becomes a whole number. So here I'm going to move it one spot to get it behind the very last digit. So it's now a 3 on the outside. Whatever I did here, I have to then also do over here. Okay, so I got to move one place. I'm only going to move one place here. So now this is going to become 1.8. Now when we divide, we need to remember to bring our decimal straight up and start the division process. Can 3 go into 1? No. So I'm going to put a 0. And now I'm going to think of this as 18. How many times will 3 go into 18? That would be 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. I have 0 left over, so I'm done. Okay, if that had been a different number where we ended up with a remainder, then we would continue to add zeros and bring them down until we would get a whole, like a number that keeps repeating itself or a terminating decimal number. So let's try another one of those. Okay, so here we have 9 divided by 7.2. So we're going to check our setup on this one. 9 divided by 7.2. Now, lots of times kids will switch that around because they think in their head 72 divided by 9. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move our decimal to make it a whole number of 72. And whatever we did on the outside, we have to do on the inside. So currently there's no decimal on this 9. It means it's right behind there. We're going to go ahead and move one spot and add a 0. Okay, so we end up with 90 on the inside, and our decimal's sitting right here now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up just in case I need it. All right, 72 can't go into 9, so I'm now going to look at 90. 72 will go into 90 once. 1 times 72 is 72. If I go ahead and subtract out, I have 18 left over. I cannot leave a remainder when we're working decimals. So this is an example of, like I had just previously said, where we're going to have to start adding a 0 and bringing it down. So let's see, 72 into 180. An easy way to kind of get at least within one number is to do what they call front-end estimation, where you can take that front number and ask how many times it would go into the front two numbers. So 72 would go into 18 twice. Or not 72, sorry. 7 would go into 18 twice, and that would put me at 14. If I did 3 times, that would be 21. That's going to be way too much. So I'm going to try 2. 2 times 72. Now, some kids are able to just multiply it out within our division, and some kids are going to need to write it out like this. You have to do what you need to be successful. So 2 times 2 gives me 4, and 2 times 7 gives me 14. Okay, so now if I go through and I subtract this out, I get a 6 and a 3. So I'm going to add a 0. Okay, 360. So now I'm going to think 7 into 36. So let's see, 7 into 36. Well, 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 5 gives me 35. So let's try 7 times 5. Okay, it's going to get me within 1. If it's not 5, if it's not 72 times 5, then it's going to be either 4 or 6. So 72 times 5. 10, carry the 1, 35, 36. That's exactly what I needed. So we're going to put a 5 in here. 5 times 72 is 360. I'm now done. I have a remainder of 0. So my final answer here would be 1.25. Now, the thing that we're going to add in is maybe now they're going to put a single negative or a negative in front of both of those. So if I had a negative 9 divided by 7.2, in the end, I would need to make sure that I added a negative to my final answer because there's only one negative sign. Okay, so let's do another one here. Okay, so we've got 345 divided by 15, or sorry, 3.45 divided by 15. Or 0.15, I should say. Okay, that's what it originally looks like. So if we move 2 places to make it a whole number, it becomes 15. Whatever we did on the outside, we have to do to the inside, so 345. And now we're going to go ahead and divide it out. 15 is kind of hard because it's right in the middle of 10 and 20. So when you get those, go through, you could still kind of do that front end estimation, but it's kind of hard when it's right in the middle. So here, oftentimes when I have 15, I think of in terms of time, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So this is going to get me close. 2 of them would put me at 30. Okay, so I have 4 left over, bring down my 5. 15 would go into 45 3 times, which gives me 45. I have nothing left over, I'm done. So here you'll see I didn't even bring my decimal. I probably should have written it here. But whenever it's at the end and there's nothing behind it, it's the same as just saying 23. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull one out here and I want you guys to go ahead, set it up and do the division on it. Okay, so we have 8 divided by 2.2. So you can go ahead and pause your video and set up your problem, work your way through it, making sure that you're showing your work, and then you can start the video back up and check your answer. You should have ended up with 3.63, and the 63 was repeating on that. Okay, that's it for working with multiplying and dividing of decimals. Make sure that you just keep plugging away, remembering that when you multiply, you can look at them as whole numbers, and then add your decimal in the very end by counting the decimal places of the original factors. And with division, you have to move your decimal first so that you can work with whole numbers and that divisor or that front number when you divide. Whatever you do to the outside, you have to also do to that number on the inside or under the division table. Good luck with this one.